So, welcome Abhishek for the 2020 match. I think you're one of the youngest guys whom I'm interviewing for the 2020 match, and I know you personally. I know a lot of your story, and it's been a roller coaster ride. I would say, you know, it's never been a smooth sail for you. I really understand that, but you know, at a young age that you face so many things, it's just going to make you wiser and stronger. That's what I personally believe. And this is a great journey. We need this experience so that when things go really down in future, you can always look back and say, hey, I handled that well, so I can handle this also well. So you know I think you have a great story to tell. I want listeners to, hear it from you. So please introduce yourself, what you do, and what are your, passions, goals, whatever you want to speak. It's yours.
Yeah. So good afternoon, sir. Thank you for calling me for this interview, 2020 match. So I'm very excited actually. And yeah, so like a small introduction before we get going on this. So basically, guys, hi. Like I'm Abhishek Pattjoshi. So currently, I'm working with Oracle as a senior application engineer. And my native place is Odisha. Like I belong to a small place called Kalahandi in Odisha. And yeah, so for last I graduated from college in 2017, and last 3 years I'm with Oracle. So currently I'm staying in Hyderabad. So yeah, if I should how should I start? So, like should I just give a start?
Whatever comes to your mind, what is your journey? I know your journey story very well, so I don't want to.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. Then let me put it like this. Then let me start give a small background story like from childhood and all that.
yeah,
That will
yeah.
be interesting then. So yeah, basically, when I was in third grade, I think at that stage, like I had that urge of going to a boarding school, which very few guys have. Like people are generally scared of boarding schools, but I had that urge inside me that I want to go. And the main reason behind that was my elder brother, like with whom I used to play. He went 1 year before me. Like he's 2 years older to me, so because he went to boarding school, and I didn't have anybody to play with, so I just thought, okay, it's high time I should go. And I used to see the way he picked up English, and the way he was enjoying in the boarding school. Those things actually excited me. And since third, I left home, and since then it's like the journey has started. So the boarding school was quite interesting. Like I think that actually gave that strong fundamentals or strong root, which I still rely on. So 8 years of boarding school, and I think those 8 years actually shaped the kind of person I am today, because when I look back, like the entire Ironman journey, like the entire credit goes to MFS and all my people, like how well we trained. But then because I had a strong core, like because I was active during my childhood days, so uh, the rigorous training I could take in such a short span of time. And the reason why I say, because I have a strong core, and the fundamentals is because during my school days I was very active in multiple sports. So one thing which I really enjoyed was taekwondo. So like we had that schedule of waking up at 5 a.m. and then first morning 1.5 hours used to be taekwondo, and then followed by school activities, and then some puzzles or some chess kind of thing. So that was my typical day in boarding school. And yeah, and I think during my boarding school, like that thing, right, like you are away from family, so you miss that family part. And moreover, I was not within my state also, so I moved to, like, from Odisha I moved to Visakhapatnam. So for me that culture gap has also come in the initial like in very early stage. So I had to pick up like small words in Telugu, and then I just that new food style, new people around. So those things were very interesting, I would say. And by the time I was I completed my I was almost graduating from my school, ninth and 10th. Like I'm the boarding school experience, I think it was very helpful. Like I could even become the school captain, and the way I interact with people, and the way I easily make friends. Like I feel that I easily make friends with people, and I'm very talkative. So these things actually helped in becoming like in handling small teams in like at school level in handling small teams. And then after that, like after 10th, I moved to Chennai for my like I wanted to get like I wanted to do engineering. So for my like engineering preparation, I joined Fiji. So 11th and 12th I was in Chennai, and so I was doing like it was like I was doing my IIT preparation in Fiji, and I did my 11th and 12th in Chettinad Vidyashram. So
Okay.
apart from that, yeah. So after that, I think I failed. Like I couldn't. I got a seat in like IIT, but I couldn't get a valid department. So I joined NIT Trichy after that. Like that is the process. Like IITs and then the NITs come. So I joined NIT Trichy, and 4 years of engineering, and then I am here in Hyderabad. So that is like basically my life journey. So in college, I think looking at my background, right? So in college also, I was very much active. So in first year itself, I became like I took part in like in student council, and like I like basically my I always like organizing or getting things done. So when I was in college, whatever problems I saw, like it can be a very small problem. Like for example, like friends from other colleges were getting some freshers party, and when I joined college, I thought that okay, colleges are exciting, I'll get a freshers party. So when that didn't happen, I was like, okay, this is an issue, let's fix this. And something like we came up with an idea of like giving freshers parties to the next first, like when we were in second year, we came up with an idea of organizing a cultural festival called Aveg and things like that. So college, like 4 years of college was actually very interesting. Like made many friends and learned a lot, and started few clubs, started got involved in many activities. And then after that, like I just started working here, and then I think my like sports like athlete career, like till ninth and 10th, it was very sharp because I was in multiple sports like taekwondo, and then I used to play kho kabaddi and all that. Like I was active in running sports, but then because of that rigorous preparation and the engineering scenario in India, it took a backseat in those couple of years. But then when I came to Hyderabad again, I think I met many friends like from Oracle Hyderabad runners, and then I was introduced to MFS. So through Raghu sir, I met you. And then I think again it kicked off from there, the Ironman journey. And most of the MFS guys know how the Ironman journey was.
Yeah, yeah. So I know a little bit of your story, so I'll just try to poke it a little more. How was your love life in your college? Can you tell your love story in
Oh,
college days?
in college days.
I remember you told me that.
Yeah. So, and in college days, actually, I dated a girl, and so yeah, it was actually very like the way it started was in those days. Like now, I think ragging and all is like out of context. But when we were in college, ragging was quite common, and ragging used to happen on a group, like group by group. Like so, if I was studying in Trichy, so people from, let's say, from Odisha, the Odia seniors will take your ragging. Similarly, if you belong to Kerala, the Malu seniors, like the Malu seniors will take your ragging. So like that, it was a group by group ragging, state-wise ragging kind of thing.
Okay.
So that's how I met the girl. So she was also part of the same ragging group. And I think one funny thing which happened was seniors kind of told ki if in the first year itself, if you're able to impress a girl, then your 50% ragging is off. So I think that must be one motivating factor which so yeah, it was fun. The call like many college memories are linked with her. So we were part of multiple groups. We used to have like we we used to take part in various activities in college. So and because of our common interest also, right? Like she was also a software engineer. Like she's also a software engineer now. So it's because of common interest we used to like share multiple conversations around that. So
So
yeah.
how did your breakup happen? I know
I,
all these questions. I'm just asking.
yeah. So let's not get into that, I guess.
No, I mean it's an experience to share. It's fun. I've shared all my experiences, right? So
Yeah, I think at every stage in life, like uh, the root cause I think was like slowly when during our final years when we like when I was moving to Hyderabad and she was moving to Bangalore, and we did our internships. Like I did my internship in a different city. She did her internship in a different city. So with that long distance, like things started falling apart, and gradually we thought, okay, it's not working out, and we just moved on with our lives.
yeah, I think long distance relationship does not work most of the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
So
mean that's fair enough for both, right? So
yeah,
that's
I'm happy that like the 4 years we were like we both were together, and we cherished those 4 years. And when things were not going fine, both realized, and I we just called off.
well,
So
I
yeah.
think that's a very good maturity on your side, and I think that's highly commendable. Also, can you talk to me about your Vaishno Devi trip?
You still remember that?
I remember everything. I mean,
Yeah. So actually,
I just want you to express yourself. So I'm just trying to.
Uh, yeah, so I think the Vaishno Devi trip happened in my first year of engineering. So, like after my during my summer break of first year. So by that time, I already like I did some here and like I had some money to rely on, and it was 2 months break. So I just told that my like all the viewers who are watching, this is like I would not recommend this to no one. Like I would not recommend anyone to do this. But then because sir is poking me to say, I'm just saying it. Yeah, so I think a couple of after like five of us, me, my elder brother, and three of my friends, like we were like it was 2 months break, and I just told at home that Papa, like I'll be bored at home, so let me go to Bhubaneswar and I'll do some course. So he was like, yeah, which course? Then I just said Java. So till date they tease me with Java, like Java they call. So I just told at home that okay, I'll do some Java course. It's of 1 month, and for that I just got some cash, and I like with no intent, like I didn't have any intention of going on a trip. But then the moment we came to Bhubaneswar, and all of us were staying in one small this thing in a rented place, and like we even happened to go to the Java Institute to just do research, what kind of course and what will be the study hours and all that. But then when all the friends meet, and then you have like 1 month's time, and then there's no one to look after you. So we just thought, okay, let's plan something very spontaneous, and uh, we happened to start from Bhubaneswar, and we went to Delhi, and then it was a long trip. Like we went around like Manali and all that, and then our end destination was this thing, Vaishno Devi. So one thing, like the entire planning was done very properly. Like it's very wrong on my part. But then whenever my mom used to call, I used to say, "Ki, okay, no, I just went to class. I'm just at home. There's that." So for almost 10 days we managed like that. But then ultimately, like none of us had been to Vaishno Devi before. So by the time we reached a place called Katra, and from there we had to go to Vaishno Devi. So in Jammu Kashmir, the signals are blocked. So that we didn't know. That factor we couldn't think of. So from Amritsar when we were traveling to Katra, early morning when we reached, none of us, our phones were working. So after like for almost 2 days, my family could not contact me. And when I tried contacting them, by then my brother had leaked the story that these guys are. So yeah, and for next almost after coming back from the trip, I was treated as a prisoner at my own place. So yeah,
So the walk trip, you told me that how easy or difficult was it when you first climbed Vaishno Devi?
yeah. So actually, like initially that I told you right, like that was not even in the plan. But then after going to like places like Manali and all that, we wanted to make it more adventurous. And it is claimed that the Vaishno Devi walk is very like it's like people generally claim that it's very adventurous, and like it's now looking back, it's only 12 kilometers. So after becoming a runner, it looks like easy. But then when I was a non-runner and I never walked for 2 kilometers even, so that 12 kilometers walk was like it was actually very daunting. And yeah, so it's like from base camp to the Vaishno Devi temple, it's I think 9 kilometers, and from there to Bhairav Baba is like 3 kilometers. So and the funny part was we had one bulky guy in our group, so like he had a tough time climbing even the 9 kilometers. So yeah, we just had to stop at every like 15 minutes just to motivate him and at least to take him till the temple. And from there, like we went, like we were the only guys who went till the top, and he slept over there after reaching the temple. He didn't even visit all the places, and he just slept over there for a couple of hours. And then while coming back, I think we picked him up.
Good, good, good.
It
So,
was
coming back, to your first job, I think Oracle is your first job that you took.
yeah. So actually, before joining Oracle, I had one corporate experience of working in Fidelity. So
Okay,
Fidelity Investments in Bangalore. So I was an intern there. So a couple of months I worked there, and after that, I came back to Oracle.
okay. And then, you came to Oracle and you took a rented flat, and then you had your friends, right? And your friends and money. So, what do you do with your friends and money then?
I think you're slowly trying to poke me, sir.
It's an incredible journey because I think very few people
uh,
can talk
yeah, so
about.
I think like one thing I've realized is it's always better if the more you share, the more relaxed you feel, and then it's always good to hear from people, and it's always good to even share your story, right? So have like thinking of those lines. Yeah, so I think yeah, when I initially rented a flat, it was more of a fun. So I made multiple like friends, and then we used to have lots of parties. Like I even got a motorbike at that point. Like I still own that FZ 250. So with that sports bike in my hand, and then a new place, and then like good access to good money. So yeah, life was actually very fun. Like I think initial 6 7 months, I hardly remember if I did anything productive, because Monday to Friday it used to be work, and Saturday Sunday it used to be either in some pubs, or it used to be some place, like it used to be some fun. So either going to Anandgiri or going to places like Hampi and all, like those are also places which are like overnight drive. So we used to rent a car, and we drove down to Hampi once, and places around like that. So yeah, it was like it was less of, I think, more like it was less productive, and it was more towards fun, and just enjoying the days kind of thing. And I think slowly, once I started off training, and then looking at the bigger picture, I think I've become like more focused in life. I if I would say.
Yeah, so yeah, I know that. So, what brought in that transformation? So, I let me just tell you one more thing. I mean, I'm talking about your own incident. You had your friends who were also into drugs, right?
Yeah. So
So,
actually, like that's the sad part. Like many of us don't know that, but in college, like in today's engineering colleges, those things have become very common. I would not name what kind of drugs and all that, but like things like cigarettes, alcohol, and other things have become very common. So I think it's some partly because of peer pressure you get into it, or it's partly because you just want to experience it, and then it just catches you. So yeah, it just happen, like things just happen in college, and with that, like I think during ragging also things happen, and few people take up these activities due to that. But then one thing which I noticed was one thing which really nice thing happened to me was I used to, like, even during those, like even when I was doing anything like that, I used to religiously go to gym. So every evening, 1 to 2 hours, I used to religiously work out. And that mindset I had, ki if I work out and do something like that, then it's like a balance. So yeah, and one buddy, like one Oracle friend, he just saw me running in treadmill. So I used to just run for 2 to 3 kilometers daily on treadmill whenever I'm in the gym. So he just recommended ki just go and try out this. We had that Freedom 10K run. So when I in 2017, I guess. So that was my basically first 10K run. And just 2 days before the race, he just told me, and I just got some slot registration, and I just ran that event. And I think after that, like the good vibes I felt, and then slowly things slowly I started realizing when I talk to people, and mostly many credits goes to Raghu sir, because I spoke to him, and then I also have one friend, you know him, right, sir? Ravi, whom you met in Goa triathlon.
Mm-hmm.
My Yeah, so I used to see him. So he's an inspiration for me. So he has done Ironman South Africa, and just like couple of months before us, on April 2019, he did Ironman South Africa. So yeah, like I used to, like during my college days also, I used to look up to him, and like I think I never had that access to such facilities or the motivation to do anything like this. So yeah, when I spoke to Raghu sir, and when things like when I realized ki, okay, in Hyderabad along with the job, Ironman is possible. When that thought was seeded inside my mind, I think from there I slowly tracked. Like after I met you, and then slowly that thought process changed, I guess.
Yeah, so we will come to that. So I think one message which is very important, for the youth today is making sure what decision to take, whether you are right or wrong. Today the youth, like you said, have easy access to drugs and alcohol and other stuff. But making taking the right decisions, and also one more thing which I really like about you is to also choose your friends, right? In a way where once your transformation started, you your friends who were mostly into drinking and all slowly started moving away, because you were the one who was not interested, and you were mostly interested in sleeping early so that you can wake up the next day for a run or for a bike ride or for something, right? And
Yeah.
slowly your friends started drifting away. I mean the ones who were mostly into drinking, they said, "Oh yeah, I think Abhishek is not the right person. He's not." And whenever we ask him, he says he has to go for a run tomorrow
Yeah,
and all that.
yeah, I think we were tagged as boring. So I was tagged as boring because even on birthday, like if my birthday is tomorrow, the previous day I was sleeping at 9:30, 10. So we were tagged as boring in the general society norms. But yeah, one thing I think I have never confessed, like even said you is uh, in my initial days of training, when I 100% when I didn't quit per se smoking or something like that. So at times, like there were a couple of workouts when I used to have some party at night, and then early morning I used to even uh, like I used to go to movie towers or wherever the workout is scheduled. So I think that realization, right? Like when somebody is saying that something is bad for you, you don't that does not hit you. But then when you feel like the day you have not done something for let's say 1 week or so, and you have seen your performance in your workout, and the previous night if you have not slept well, or if you have done something wrong, and then the next morning workout, you just compare those two results, and
Mm,
it's just a tight slap on your face. So I think I got that couple of times, and I didn't I like that realization happened to me. I think like I was not that close, or I couldn't share these things with you at that point of time. But then once that kicks in, I think you end up taking the right decision.
mm. No, and I think also what I wanted to know is you change your friends also. I think because of joining MFS, you made good friends like Neeraj
Yeah,
Bhai.
yeah. I have many friends, all MFS buddies. Yeah,
So I remember he was your running buddy for quite some time,
yeah,
and you all used to run together. So I think that's a good thing, because you learn from an experienced person like Neeraj,
yeah,
who's quite elder to you, and I think that was an indirect mentorship that was also happening parallelly, right?
yeah, yeah. So
So yeah, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I think those things, like that with those interactions, I think I was able to get that bigger picture how life is and what kind of challenges life throws at you. So when I was interacting with Neeraj, like mostly he has a very good very deep experience in the corporate. So like he always says me ki how Qualcomm works, and how like if you want to grow up the ladder, what should be the mindset, or how to like those things. I think after interacting with Neeraj and Mahesh sir and many people, I think those things like I learned from them a lot. And being the youngest guy, I was always like I was always the thing. What is the right word for that? Like my people used to just pull my leg.
So, see, coming back to your Ironman journey, you know, when uh, when Sunil told you that you can do an Ironman in a year's time, and that time I remember you didn't know swimming as much, right? And I remember telling you to go to Gachibowli Stadium and to take a swimming form and first swim in the small pool and then come to the big pool. So how was your transition from the big small pool to the big pool? So when you made the first jump in the big pool where you could not touch your legs, what was the feeling like?
So I think like when we interacted, right, sir? So first time I think like it was just a formal like I met you in the month of February or March, I think. Like February we had this Oracle run, and after in 1 week's time or so I met you. So I think you gave me 2 months time to at least get the fundamentals right from Gachibowli coaches. So in those 2 months, like those were the times when we had that summer coaching going on. So me, Neeraj bhai, and all, we started going to Gachibowli pool, small pool. So I think it took 2 months for me to get that confidence and jump into the big pool. Pool also for the first time. Like I was just in the the last lane because like if something happens, I have to just hold the side wall. So yeah, it was actually like I think those 2 months, every minute I used to think how I should be improving my form and how I should get into the big pool. Like that was the only thing which was going on in my mind. And I think by August, like August first week or so, when I was like just in the big pool, and we were doing our swim workout, one day you just happened to say me, "Ki boss, I'm registering for Zurich, and I want you to register." So from a guy who just learned swimming and who, like, I didn't even had a bike at that time. Like I had zero biking experience. So I was perplexed. Like I was like. Like, is he asking me for full Ironman now? Because I have zero experience with a bike. I've just started learning swimming and some decent experience with running. So, like, I think, and I said, if you remember well, like, we planned to register on your birthday, right? But then the
Yeah,
prices kept increasing, and we had to register. We have to register before your birthday. So that
yes,
was the plan, I guess. Like August 9th, we'll register on your birthday, and August 12th on my birthday, I'll register. So that
yes,
was the plan, I guess. We'll be registering on our birthdays. But that didn't happen, and I think we ended up registering on August 5th or 6th, I guess.
yes.
Yeah. So one good, like when I look back at my experience, one good takeaway, at least from the swimming part, is like you remember when even after coming to the big pool, many people will feel that okay, from small pool to big pool, the transition you have made and you are set to go. But then that is not what I truly feel. Like getting those number of laps correct, like you should, like if you're doing 50 meters, it should not be like you're exhausted in those 50 meters. So
Exactly.
making converting that 50 to 100 and 100 to 500 is something, the key. And that I think like only thing that you were saying, right, that keep hitting something till you break that barrier. So that thing is always there at my mind. So because I was always stuck at that 50 meters for almost a month or so, and I never, like, even though technique was fine, even though things were fine, I was just getting exhausted, like I was running out of breath in those 50 meters. So I think having that sole focus and hitting that break point and then crossing that is something which is a big learning from swimming, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's an incredible journey because you learned swimming in within 1 year and you did an Ironman. Okay, you didn't have a bike, you brought a bike and you did the 180 kilometers. You had never ran a marathon before. Okay, then you ran the first marathon in AHM, right?
Yeah, yeah. AHM
That
was the
was a
first marathon. Yeah,
sub 5 marathon.
yeah. 4:15. So 5 was the target. 4:59. Both of us did. Me and Neeraj bhai.
Yeah. So, you did a lot of ticks on the way. In 1 year's time, you really progressed. You know, I remember, your story in December when you said that you had an injury. Remember?
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, "Don't worry, you." And you had to do a half Ironman in Goa. So can you talk through your mindset that time? I remember you were really frustrated. You were like, "I don't know how this is going to go."
Yeah, like I felt like I did a mistake. Like I just rushed things, and this is not happening. December was the time I felt this is not happening, boss. I'm getting royally screwed in Goa, and then the same thing will repeat in Zurich. So I was completely devastated, I guess. But then the Goa incident was something which was actually very motivating because 8:30 was the cutoff, right?
Yeah.
I think they increased to 8:30, not 8 hours. So 8:30, and I hardly managed to get the cutoff. Like I, with my injured leg, I think running was very painful for me. So somewhere around 8:10 or 8:13, I think I finished. Like so the with all that, like with that heat of Goa and with that injured leg, and even the doctor has like advised that not to go for that race. It might even spoil the injury. Just increase the injury. So with all that, which I just had like that trust, ki, okay, nothing will happen, and let's do it. Like just follow the process, take it slow, run, walk, and then that finish line when Seema ma'am and you all like you could have easily went to the hotel and you could have slept for 2 hours. So you were there, like all like my brother and everybody were there to cheer me. So that is something it's amazing. Like that kind of support if somebody has, then naturally things happen, I guess.
I'm smiling because I remembered the Goa marathon, and I think you must give the credit for your injury. What do you say? Rehab to that doctor who tapped your feet. Can you talk to that incident?
Yeah, so
What was that doctor's name? Some Joe or something. I don't know what.
yeah, yeah, he was a funny guy, I guess. So like we knew that something is wrong, there's some swelling, but then he just did some crap tapping, and they're like, okay, you're fine, this that, come to my hospital. So he just thought that uh, like he can just trick me and like get me into his business, but then it didn't happen, and I think like all of you made a big fun of me with the way.
Because you were watching and he was just tapping your feet and you were like, yeah, yes, no, and I don't know what, and you were like laughing and saying, okay, wow, so this is how you need to do a rehab. So that was quite funny, specifically the Goa marathon, and I think you did a full there also, right?
Yeah. So I have done two fulls in total. One is the HM and the second one was Goa. And after
Goa,
that,
and
it's the full Ironman. Yeah.
yeah, and then I think you got confidence more after you did the Goa half Ironman.
Yeah. Goa half Ironman was the changer, I guess, because after that we didn't have any more races planned, and we only had a couple of practice events in Karad and other places. But Goa was actually the game changer because even because of that jellyfish experience, right? Yeah, I don't want to get that again, but yeah.
Yeah, see, I mean, you did everything. You did open water swimming. You attended nearly all the camps which I was conducting, whether it was in Pune, Satara,
Yeah.
Karad. And I think that journey where you came along with me was a good time to have a good conversation. And I remember of telling you many things, many misconceptions that you had about things which I told was not right.
Hmm.
So yeah, can you walk through that open? I mean those camps that you had, and you literally met the whole of the MFS family from right from Satara to
Yeah,
Pune to
I think in that way, I'm the most privileged guy, I guess. And many people even like, I feel in those sense, I'm the most privileged guy because I had the opportunity to meet almost every member of MFS in across India. So yeah, and mostly during the camps, like we used to stay in Kalyani ma'am's house, so that was a wonderful experience. So checking into like it felt like we are checking into some big hotel and just enjoying there. And yeah, so most of our discussions were around like it was not just specific to the sport, I guess, but it was about life in general and about the society and how we can contribute back more to the society. So we had like we always had that uh, growth mindset kind of discussions where we are doing trying to think something innovative or trying to brainstorm some ideas, or at places where I had few at like I at places where I was wrong. Like for example, I was not focusing more on my work, and I used to even complain about my job or things like that. Like I used to always be grumpy, and I used to not appreciate or not be grateful for things which I have, and just complain about the things which I don't have. So I think those were small minor corrections, but that takes in the long run, those things actually shape you as the person you are. So that is one very good thing. And I think when we are going, like when we are doing camps, right? We are with respect to the sport, we are doing that real time simulation. Like if you are doing the same place, like let's say Hyderabad, the conditions, so it might not be the exact simulation of some race. But when we went to Karad and place like that, like it's an unknown territory. So getting into River Krishna or whichever place it is in the first go and making yourself comfortable, and then when you see people around, like when you have camp members, you see that the same enthu, and then that gives you that race simulation. So I think to achieve something like Ironman and this camps and things are very useful, and it's highly recommended also so that you're not in that panic situation on the race day. So that I think with multiple camps, I was more comfortable with the journey, I would say, how the final race day would look like, and I had that visualization continuously going on. Ki, okay, boss, this is the day, like this will be the thing on the race day. So each day, each practice, I used to visualize, like let's say if I had a tire puncture, I used to think, was if this happens on the race day, what am I going to do? And I
Yeah.
think I'm the I had the most number of tire punctures you have seen in your entire career, I guess.
Yeah, see, I remember, I think in one of our training sessions, you had a flat, and I just whizzed past you, and then you were like very pissed off and angry. I said, "My God, I need help, Sunil, I need help." Then I came and told you, boss, there's nobody going to help you during the race.
Yeah,
If you lose your cool, your race is over. Remember those things days, right? and
yeah,
and that's where you realize, boss, you're going to be all alone in the race. Nobody's going to help you. Nobody's allowed to help you in that case. Nobody
yeah,
can fix a flat for you. So
yeah.
I know it was a slightly a rude eye opener for you, but I think that flat literally made you fix or try at least 10 flats every time, right?
Yeah.
So
So I think with respect to fixing flats, always you Srini or Arun sir or somebody was there. But then after when I realized I'm not able to fix a flat properly, I think at my place we kept practicing. Like Srini used to come and we kept practicing. So it's all about getting things right, like getting that technique right, and then you will be able to do it quickly in 6 to 7 minutes time, like that. So yeah, it was actually a good lesson. Like you cannot lose your cool at any point of time. Leave it. Like it's not just with respect to race. In life in general. Like you cannot be angry at things which are not under your control, right? Even though you're riding very safe, you can still have a pin flat. So
yes. So yeah, and of course your journey. Uh, you had planned an elaborate, vacation in Zurich, and you wanted to take your parents to Zurich and spend some time. But then, the universe had some other plans for you.
plans.
Can you walk through that?
Yeah, I think both of us were in the same soup, I guess. So we booked our flight tickets in Jet Airways, and it just doomed. Like we booked our flight tickets in the month of Jan, and for 3 months we were very happy that okay, all of us Vishy, every all of us are traveling together. We had that hopes, and April, end of April, I guess, when we realized that our tickets are no more valid and Jet is completely what the Jet kind of thing happened to us. So So yeah, it was tough. It was tough. Actually, for me, it was even more challenge because I was taking care of all the finances, and because this was completely my thing. So I thought, okay, let me not be dependent on my parents, and let me just plan it my way. So when things happened and I didn't have the required finances to even take them, so what I thought was, okay, let me cut short my trip also. Like I could have stayed with you and I could have went around Zurich and Italy and other places. But then I had that restriction of holidays also. Like I took leave for 3 weeks from office. So 2 weeks went with this race, and 1 week I just like I cancelled my stay in Zurich and I came back to India and stayed at home for 1 week. So I think after the race, like as you say, right, the Ironman actual journey begins after the race. So that 1 week when I stayed with my friends, and then the love I got from all my family members. So that is something which I'll never forget. The small functions or the kind of celebrations we had at home. So those things, like we even had one at Hyderabad, and then I was called to a few places. So those are the big things which happened to me in my life. So looking back, this jet thing is a very small incident which I just ended up forgetting it, because after that there were so many good things which happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
I think.
yeah yeah
Yeah.
I think the biggest, like apart from this jet, you remember, sir, that like the bike trainer which was gifted to me, like my grandfather basically he bought that bike trainer from US. So during the peak, I would say the peak training block, May June, when we were hitting our peak and then we were about to taper down. So that time when like they met with an unfortunate accident, and like
Mm.
when like five of my close family members, when they passed away, and I had an option either to stay in Hyderabad and get back to my work and continue training for Ironman, or the option of going back home and fixing things, like just staying with them. So I think my dad took that call and he asked me not to go, and he asked me to focus on what I have. So currently, what I signed up for, he just asked, like that way he actually motivated me and he asked me to stay back. And that phase was actually very tough when I was cycling for like when we had that 6 to 7 hours of indoor cycling, and I was on that trainer, and all those memories of how you he like how I used to play with him in my childhood days. So those were actually tough. And during even my race day also, when things were going south, I always recalled all this training experiences. Key boss, why I have signed up for this thing. And I think with that I was able to only with that I was able to do in this short period of time, and nothing else, I guess, with that mindset. And
Yeah, yeah. Walk through us through your race. I remember that was also something very memorable.
yeah, I think I was just like you said, right, like just focus on one swim stroke, one bike pedal, and one run step. So that was it for 16 hours. So yeah, the race was actually like it's the most memorable day of my life. That's for sure. But then I had multiple hiccups even during the race. So one thing was I was prepared. Like the initial hiccup came in the swim part itself. Like we started swimming and in between it started raining. So and in none of our trainings we had that simulation. Like generally we don't swim when it's raining. Like that's the general norm we follow for safety measure. Like just to be safe. But in the race, when you're in between that, like it's completely inside, and for almost 30 minutes you're swimming, you don't know what is the direction. Sighting is an
Exactly.
issue. So yeah, that was the initial challenge, and then I knew ki boss, God has something else planned for me. So
No,
this is
I still remember that you fell from the bike.
yeah. So yeah, this was the first thing. Like the swim part itself was a big hiccup. Like I had some slight leg issue during the swim itself because of that panic created due to rain. And bike, like in my entire bike training, I never fell from the bike, not even once. Like even when I started using cleats, I never fell from the bike. I always used to get flats, but I never fell from the bike. But then on the race day, when I fell from the bike, I, I was like, okay, ये तो होना ही था. But then that was a minor injury. Like I just had some bruises, and then I was using Munna's helmet, so the visor flew away, and then I was wondering the visor should not break. So yeah, once bike, like I think the bike part was actually very challenging. Like because of the elevation and especially during the second loop, right? I was completely drained. I felt like whatever indoor training I did, I still had to put in more effort to do Ironman smoothly. So the next Ironman will definitely be with more practice and more like
Yeah, take us to the last 10 kilometers where you had to rush to, meet the cutoff, bike cutoff.
yeah, so last 10 kilometers, I don't want to use that Hindi phrase, but literally we had like heart was in my mouth, I would say, because me and Anup, we were just racing against time. And like when we had to go, like in the last 30 minutes, when we had to again climb the
Heartbreaking.
Heartbreak Hill, yeah. So Heartbreak Hill, climbing that Heartbreak Hill and then coming back and parking the bike. So we hardly had some time. But one good thing was we had Heinz, we had Vishy, and we had
Adish
Adish.
Patel.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So all these people like they formed a human chain, I would say. Like it was Adish who ran to Vishy, Vishy who ran to Heinz, and that way they were just supporting us. And I had my Jiju, Didi, and everybody around. So with that support, I think I just like my last fastest bike was during those last 30 minutes when I knew this is it. And after bike, I think I almost rested for 10-15 minutes. I just lied down and thought, okay, now run. I have to focus. So yeah, it was actually tough. And many Indians could not clear that close cutoff. So I felt very sad when I started running and I could see a couple of my friends who were stopped, Prakash sir and other people, I guess. But me and Anup, we started running together, so it was some support from Anup, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I think the run was quite easy, and I remember the last when you were closing the finish line, you know, you were egging the person to say what is it, you are a nine man. So take
I,
us
I
to that
was
feeling.
I was actually very eager to listen that. Like I always used to, whenever I'm like before going to bed or early morning, I used to call that like I used to chant that thing, ki, Abhishek from India, you are an Ant-Man. So I wanted to listen that like n number of times. So when that moment came, like I just wanted that moment to last forever, I guess. So yeah, it was fun. And I think many of my friends from India and like other places who were supporting me, they kept like commenting my name on the Facebook page. So that guy ended up saying, "Okay, you are Abhishek from Facebook," instead of saying Abhishek from India. So that was something funny.
Yeah, and I think your photo was chosen by Iron Man in their. Remember, your photo came in Iron
Yeah,
Monthly,
yeah, yeah,
Iron Man Try
yeah.
Instagram. And I think that was quite a beautiful poster. I think you still have that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the one at the back, right? Can you see that just beside the medal hanger? I don't think it's clear.
Yeah, yeah, yes, 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 yes.
So it's
Yeah,
always
where
like,
you're raising the flag. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I think that was and that came in Iron Man Try
yeah.
Instagram post. I think that was quite a wonderful moment for you.
Yes, sir.
And, and I remember, post that we had gone for the massage, and the masseur that she had closed the thing, and you said I need it only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
It was a bargain with her.
So yeah, I think that those moments are pretty good. I remember those times.
Yeah,
I
actually, it
think
was my first international trip, right? So right from starting from Hyderabad, you remember we kept recording our videos. Like I used to take your interview, you used to take mine, and we had
exactly.
fun. We had fun during that entire journey, I guess. Like it
Yeah,
was,
lots of fun.
yeah, it was never pressure or it was never key. Okay, like what is it? Like we were enjoying what we did. So that was the best part of the entire journey, I guess. And you remember it was Guru Purnima when we were traveling from India, like July 16th, I guess. So it was
Hmm.
Guru Purnima, and then that feeling of doing the race with your Guru. So those things are like very few people are that lucky to experience those things, and I consider myself very lucky to have done that. To
Yeah, I also remember that we had gone up the mountain and you had brought your friend along.
Yeah, yeah. He was scolding me on his way back. Yeah, but nice guy, Shivashish.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and then we had a good time at the top where we ordered some food
yeah,
and
yeah.
beers. So it was never feeling like we are going to do an Ironman in 2 days' time. Yeah, and I think when the day was of route recce was there, you went to uh, some other place. What was that?
I went to. I also don't remember the place name. Jungfra.
Yeah,
Jungfra. So that's a mountain. Like it's a like basically a tourist place. So Jungfra region. I went there and like one day I just skipped the training.
yeah, and I remember you asking me, oh, will it matter? Will it matter? And I wanted to say yes, it would matter, but I didn't want to demoralize you. I said, no, don't worry, nothing is going to matter now. Since you've not done it, it won't be a thing. But I still would say that if you would have done that route recce, you would have raced better
Yeah,
because you would have known what to pace, how to pace it. Since
yeah,
you're not done that route recce, I think you failed in the pacing more than anything else. So you didn't know the route.
yeah,
So I think that's one thing I would also recommend everybody. Route
yeah,
recce is very important. You have to do that route once so that you understand how to pace yourself, what are the elevations, so you can plan yourself much better. And I remember you were doing that heartbreak hill 2 3 times. I said, "Don't worry, don't. It's pointless. Just do one or two loops and go home and relax."
just for my satisfaction, I think I did that heartbreak hill multiple times, thinking that that has the highest elevation, but I was wrong. Other elevation was like long and it was never ending. Heartbreak hill,
Yeah.
at least we knew just hardly 500, 600 meters and it's done.
No, and I think that's where the route recce would have really helped you. You would have known, okay, oh my God, oh, I know, okay, after this much kilometers, the sail is going to come. So I better go faster and then you can go slow, pace yourself. But
Yeah.
yeah, when you asked me, I didn't know what to say because I didn't want to demoralize you or say, no, no, why did you miss it? I said, don't worry, yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. Now things are done.
I think you supported me in every way. Like wherever you felt like you had to correct me, like during the training sessions, you were harsh to me. But at times when you knew ki, at that point it's not good to advise. Like that understanding of the timing, ki when to advise and when not to advise, and when to correct and when not to correct. I think that was rightly done, and that had its good positive effects, I guess.
Yeah, I had to be very careful now because I wanted my main sole aim was to make sure that you cross the finish line, you know, and that was the most important factor for me. Yeah, but that's good. So post Ironman, you became a star, right, in your village, and you were called in by a school, college for talking. And I think you motivated a lot of people around, right?
Yeah, I think one very good thing happened was even my close, like people who are very closely associated with me, like my Jiju joined MFS. So I really felt good that like at least people around me have chosen a good lifestyle. So even my family members, they started going for walk. Like my mom and dad, they are spending a good time going for morning walk. So 1.5 hours of good time they're having together now. So that is one good thing happened in this entire journey. And yeah, when I was in my hometown, like I met couple of people over there. So the young kids, they have started like looking up to me, and then they now see that okay, somebody from our place can do it, then even they can do it at some point of time. So that is something which I really felt good about.
Yeah, good. So now, actually, your life is at crossroads, right? In terms of your career, your personal life, and this coronavirus is also not done good to you in terms of financial uh, setbacks. So, how are you dealing with the whole situation?
So one positive outcome of this entire thing is like I learned cooking. So in this entire lockdown 40 45 days, I'm completely alone. So I think all the MFS Hyderabad guys know how heavily we are dependent on my cook. So early morning, if we want to do something, he used to come and he used to give me some breakfast or something like that. So I've learned I've taken up cooking and I'm managing it on my own. And apart from that, yeah, the financial setback, like if the guy, like if the people know about Franklin Templeton issue, so they have winded up their funds. So some of my savings are stuck over there. And yeah, I think we discussed about this, and after talking to you, I felt really nice. So I'm just managing it, sir. Like as of now, I'm fine, and just focusing on the things I have and not getting perturbed by the things I don't have or which are not under my control.
Yes, and also what I want, it's very easy to get demotivated and lose self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, you know, whatever setbacks you get, remember that it's just one of the stepping stones for you to be successful. You learn a lot from your failures than you learn from successes. So, the more failures you learn to handle early on, the better challenges you'll be able to handle when you are in future, you know.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
think that's one confidence that, you should be an example for a lot of people. you know your personal life also, where you love someone, but again, you're facing a few challenges at that front, and but you're handling it gracefully in a matured manner. I think that's also very commendable.
So I think one day we were discussing, right, the way you were saying ki, like, oh, if I ultimately have to become a CEO, then I need to have that trait of getting things done. So and getting things done is not just with respect to corporate world, it is in general. So like if you want to be with someone, then you have to be in a position to convince others around that things will be fine. And then if you are in any situation, you if you have that ability of getting things done, then lives become easier. So in that journey of becoming CEO, like when I'm look up to Rao Garu, and like in our MFS tribe, we have so many members whom I look up to. So that positivity and that I'm always surrounded with that. So I think in this difficult times also, when like one call away, like I just called you, and sometime I was like back to my work. So I think it's like I think many people should have at least one mentor, or like if not a mentor, a friend or somebody whom they can speak their heart out to, so that they don't end up getting depressed, or they don't lose their self-esteem, or or like in worst situations people even commit suicide. So those things can highly like be reduced if you have someone whom you can openly talk to. And in those sense, I feel truly blessed, sir.
No, I think that's a important lesson for everyone also, because
Yeah,
everybody is facing some or the other hardships, and
correct.
of course, the situation that we are facing currently has not been good for anyone.
Anyone,
I
correct.
would highly doubt if anyone says I've got advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
But how you handle things, again, one thing we need to remember is what's in your hand you should not lose, right?
Hmm.
It's you have lost something, that's gone, but what's there, try not to lose that, right? And
Hmm.
that's the key. Like for example, your job, your career, your sleep.
Peace
Try
of
to
mind,
note down.
basically.
Yes. What are the things that you're losing because you're not doing something, or because you're thinking too much about your past, or thinking too much about your future.
Hmm.
Then we lose our sleep, we get demotivated, we lose our focus in our job, we can end up in a very spiral situation.
Hmm.
So one loss versus 10 losses.
Hmm.
So you need to make sure that you keep that weighing scale
Hmm.
in balance, where you don't lose x plus y plus z plus this, and just okay, x is lost.
Hmm.
Now let me not lose the other things that are very important. And I
Hmm.
think that's the maturity that you have got at such a young age, that you are learning This, I feel, this will hold you good in your future also. So, and I don't see any way where you would not be able to meet your dream of being a CEO. I feel you are very well capable of being a leader, because a leader who does not have experience, who does not face challenges in life, will never be able to resolve them when he actually faces challenges in corporate life, right?
Mm,
So I think that level of maturity, that level of confidence, which we can take from this, like I said, okay, what more important than a failure is, what have you learned from the failure, right?
mm,
Writing down what is your failure, where did you go wrong, you know,
mm,
instead of just putting, did you put all the eggs in one basket? That's a wrong thing.
mm,
Making sure that you have enough bank balance in your account, so that
mm,
people can help you, you can help others in case they need help,
mm,
right? So those are the points that you need to note down and say, okay, in future, should I be taking a loan, home loan? If I have to take, what should I be aware of? So
mm.
this situation can happen again anytime, right?
Correct.
And if you don't again prepare yourself and learn from this mistake, then you're a fool, So I think every time, wherever even I have learned from my failures, I've tried to note down where have I gone wrong, and I think that's a very big lesson for you. Trying to note down things where you're going wrong, where you could have done in a better way, and
Mm,
making sure you don't repeat those mistakes, because you know the situation can come anytime again, and it could be worse than this.
correct.
So yes, I think you've covered a lot of ground. So what is your future looking like? What do you want to do in another couple of years, or 4 to 5 years time? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah. So I think we have had n number of discussions on that. So yeah, like I'm like so broadly, like there are two big options, right? So one is like if you have a wonderful idea, so you can just build on that and start a new like you can be an entrepreneur. And other thing is you can slowly grow up the ladder. So down like now what I've seen is like I'm like as of now I'm just good in technology, so I'm working as a senior application engineer. But now my sole focus is to understand the business aspect of how the world, like how the business corporates are running. So with that, like to get a good grip of it, I feel that doing MBA from a premier institute will actually help me get into those good roles of being CXOs at early 30s. So in my early 30s, I can reach that stage where I'm handling big businesses, and that will be a progression towards the overall like to be a global leader kind of thing. So that is the plan now. So parallelly, like I'm just focusing on my MBA prep, and yeah, and mostly like down the lane, like if you ask me 10-15 years down the lane also, I might stick my base to India, like not thinking of going abroad and just running after money or doing things like that. So some way like always that thing is there in my mind to be associated with things which have helped me become the person I am. So I am linked, like I talk to my school director even now, and I try to ensure that the school is doing fine and just have that alumni connection. So down the lane, MFS also, whenever like you or anybody needs my help, so I'll be like always available for that. So to take up some role in MFS and ensure that we are contributing back to the society. And so yeah, that is the broader plan basically.
Yeah, I think I like this. This basic concept that giving it back to the society. I think the whole soul and sole purpose of our life is, how can you be of service to all the living beings in the universe? And I think with that focus in mind, whatever you do, you should be focusing in that direction. And I think if you do focus in that direction, you know, money should not be the criteria.
Hmm.
So I think
Like
everything
basic
else will
is
fall into
required,
place.
basic money is required, but then on top of that, anything and more is like it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying money is not required, but of course, money should not be the criteria. So
Hmm.
once you start doing in that objective, definitely you will see a lot of growth, and people will learn to appreciate you and accept you also. So yeah, I think that's a very important message that you're giving across. So great. Any closing comments?
So thank you so much, sir, for doing this. And like one thing I would really put it across is like the anything you start, right, be it podcast or be it anything, it's like you just start, and it's like it's the dedication towards any small activity, be it like morning prayer or writing journal or the podcast. It's like you give your 100%, and that is what the entire tribe members look and try to follow it in our daily lives. So yeah, so thank you for having me in this podcast. It was wonderful talking to you.
No, I think it's an honor for me, and I'm actually proud of your achievements as much as you are proud. And I totally feel it's your own achievements. I've just been an enabler. I'm not a person who will take credit for your achievements. But I feel whatever you've done, whatever you've learned, and whatever you're doing, keep doing it and grow and be the best version of yourself every day. I think that's the sole aim.
And the 1% rule we focus, right?
Yes,
1%.
1%. 1% improvement every day. And I think you'll definitely you are a gem. I think the world will discover it soon.
Thank you, sir.
All the very best, man. Really
Uh,
enjoyed talking to you as
Chal-
always.
Chalo sir
Chalo.
then. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.